Pateron friends, if you don't know that sound, it's the sound of a generator. Yeah, an emergency generator. This is kind of a wake-up call. My brother got up this morning and there was a WPS lady in the backyard here turning off the electricity. Apparently my brother didn't pay his bill in full. I think he was like $30-some short. And they don't send a notice. They send a notice that you owe, which he paid, but they didn't send another notice saying you still owe more. What they do is they just come and shut you off with no warning. No warning. They don't call and say, you know what, we're coming out. And this morning everybody woke up in this household to no electricity. Pretty sad. So we had to scramble to get on the phone to figure everything out. And once we got the bill up to par, they said, well, we might not be able to come out for 1 to 2 days. People in this household are disabled and they depend on the electricity. You know, my brother has a good setup. He's got the garden, he's got enough food to last, he's got, you know, just about everything that I guess he would need to really hunker down here for a while, except a backup generator. And when you have a house that runs on, you know, electricity like his house does, you know, he's got 2 refrigerators, and I'm sure many of you have freezers. I always keep telling you friends about freezers, right? I hope you realize that freezers, you know, they're good for short term, but you get something like, if you don't have a backup generator and the electricity goes out, that freezer within a day or two, probably within 2 days, is going to start, your food's going to start being lost. So, you know, this is a great time for me to take out the camera and say, do you have a generator? What are you doing for your backup plan? Are you ready for a situation if the electricity goes out? Right? If the electricity goes out, it can happen at any time. We never expected this because of a bill. Wasn't a windstorm, wasn't a thunderstorm, wasn't a tornado. It was a bill that was short on being paid. And WPS has no mercy. So here I am doing the starryhilder off-grid thing again, reminding you Patriot friends, because that's why you originally came here, right? Is to get homesteading advice, off-grid advice, right? Well, what's in your house that's going to help you with an electrical emergency? I hope you got one of these. You know, when you're in a pickle, it's never fun to like have to run to the store and buy generators. And this is the thing, if there's like a power outage that takes out a lot of people's power, you know what everybody else is going to be doing. They're going to be running to the store for generators, and we've seen this time and time again. So unfortunately, you know, my brother just was in this, it just happened. You know, it's unfortunate. He thought he paid his bill. Apparently he owed a little bit more, and they just shut you off. They just shut you off. They have no mercy. But that is a Briggs & Stratton, and I know there are a lot of different brands of generators. In fact, when we were looking for a generator for our off-grid house, the first generator that we ever bought was a Honda. And that thing it charged our batteries for the first 5-6 years that we were out there, until we finally saved enough money to purchase a diesel generator from, it was refurbished from Desert Storm. Now, we bought it from a company that kind of gave us the shaft. It arrived, it didn't work, it never ran. Took over a year of trying to figure out what was wrong with it, and to make a long story short, it ended up being packed with sand. So the guy was very untruthful about, he had looked it over and he inspected all of the generators. And so when he sold it to us, he went, you know, we believed him. He owns a place called Green Mountain Generators, and I don't have one iota about mentioning his name, and to steer clear if you're off the grid looking for a generator. This is not an oversight on his part. When we had the generator actually shipped, I think, out east, there was an engineer who worked on these generators, and he just said, it's packed with sand. How could anybody miss this? It was pretty pathetic, and we spent a lot of money on that generator. It was $2,400 I remember paying for it. And I worked hard for that money. You know, that came out of my pocket as a nurse. So that was like a month's worth even more than a month's worth of income back then, right? Because I only worked part-time. So, you know, it was really disappointing. But it was a diesel generator that my ex-husband had researched for off-grid use, basically to run a full household and a garage and whatever you would imagine on pennies on the dollar. The one thing I will tell you about my ex is he does his research, and he wanted the most sustainable homestead ever, and that came to the generator. Because if you live off the grid, you got to have a generator. And like people will say, why don't you get a solar generator? Because when it's cloudy, the solar generator is not going to work. We've learned this in the past. And why not do propane? Well, yeah, propane is an option, but we decided not to go with the propane. My ex said that's not going to be the way that we go. The propane generators are a good option too, but we chose the diesel because it cost pennies, even less than the propane. It was really the cost, because we don't have a lot of income coming in. So, you know, Shep really had to think about, we don't have hordes of money coming in every month. So we have to make sure that whatever we put into this generator, we're going to be able to afford later on. And a lot of people say, well, you know, you put yourself at risk because, you know, you have to rely on diesel or propane. Well, my philosophy is the end of the world hasn't come yet. So use what's available, right? And here we are in this situation. It's an emergency situation. And what did my brother have to do? He had to buy a generator until they turn on the electricity. Now, they said they turn it on within 1 to 2 days, but who knows what WPS is going to do, right? Who knows? So this was and the bill's paid. The bill is paid. It's a matter of now, because we had to pay a little extra. You know, if you don't pay your bill by $10, they shut you off. So we got that up to par, and he immediately went out and purchased a generator. It's 11% off, so we got a good deal on it. I mean, this is a big purchase for him, but it prompted him to say, we cannot be without electricity. I've got a disabled mom in there. My brother's disabled. We got we got a little girl in there, a 7-year-old girl in there. We've got a lot living in this house depending on electricity. And it's sad because I can't teach them how to not depend on electricity. It's just how they live. I would teach them how to do things differently, but they just don't have the setup. My brother said one day he'd really like to have solar. And I said, well, I can help you with that. I can help you get this all to the point where you could have solar and you could still stay connected to the grid. But just because he's disabled, he just needs a lot of help, and I can't provide all of it.